The concept of life cycle of a company is not only important to understand why a company can use a private equity investor to satisfy the need of money. The life cycle of the company is a fundamental also to identify the different types of private equity investment. As we know, in the clip one, we said that private equity is not public equity. So private equity is an investment, is a company which is not listed in the stock exchange. But this definition is very broad. Practitioners say it's an umbrella definition. That means behind this umbrella we can find very different deals, very different activities. And today we have to identify the right taxonomy to identify the different deals of business of private equity. Using the concept of a life cycle of a company, the life cycle starts with development. Development is the phase in which the entrepreneur or the researcher starts creating the business idea. A private equity investing in a company in a phase of development is named seed financing. If we move to the stage number 2, where the stage number 2 is the startup of the company, where the entrepreneur turns the key to activate the business. In this case, if we have a private equity investor investing in a company in a phase of startup, we say startup financing. The third step is the early growth phase. In this case, if we have a private equity investor satisfying the need of money, we say it's early growth financing. That's quite important because seed, startup, and early growth financing can be joined together to create the cluster of venture capital, where venture capital is a subsample, is a cluster of the broader definition of private equity. If we move to the stage number 4, we enter in the phase of expansion or growth of the company where sales are flying. In this case, if we have a private equity investor investing in, we say it's expansion financing. If we move to the step number 5, where the step number 5 is the mature age of the company, in this case, if we have a private equity investing, we always say it's replacement financing. And last, if we enter, unfortunately, in the phase of crisis or decline of a company, in this case, if we find a private equity investor investing in, and it's a very hard job, in this case, we say vulture financing. So one label, one definition, private equity, but 6 different business, 6 different deals, 6 different markets, where the concept of risk and return for the investor is completely different. A last aspect, in the 6 different markets, the private equity could invest with a minority or with a majority stake. It depends from the negotiation with the company. And the last aspect, the private equity could have an approach that is hands-on or hands-off in the 6 different clusters. Hands-on means the private equity gives a lot of support to the company, not only in terms of certification, networking and so on, but really the private equity operates together with the entrepreneur to lead and to drive the company. On the other hand, the attitude and the approach of the private equity could be hands-off. Hands-off means that the private equity gives a lot of support in terms of networking, in terms of certification, in terms of knowledge, but the car is clearly driven by the entrepreneur. The private equity just simply gives a lot of support.